In 2021, two witnesses came forward to share their accounts of listening to the MessyMen Podcast. Their identities have been hidden for their protection. Warning, what you are about to hear could be disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised. I'm a MessyMen Podcast frequent user. I started using the MessyMen Podcast back in the, early 2020, from the very first episode. I don't know. I got hooked pretty quickly. Not because I found what they said to be enjoyable or inspiring. I was in a dark place. I was really low, and listening to them, I guess I just kind of felt more sorry for these guys than I did for myself. I mean, they made me feel better about myself. I mean, I was thinking I couldn't get any lower. Well, the MessyMen Podcast, they made me see how wrong I was. I realized things for me weren't all that bad. And, I listen, because it's a pick-me-up. I don't know, I've tried everything I can think of, but I just can't quit. So my name, yeah, I admit it, I'm addicted to the MessyMen Podcast, but don't judge me about this, alright? I mean, people are always judging me about this, about listening. I'm sorry. Look, I don't know what it is. I think the jingle kind of hooked me the first time I heard it. I mean, it's really catchy. It's, they got the part about the men sharpening each other, and then there's a thing about the axe. I mean, that's good stuff, but no sports? These guys don't talk about sports. They call themselves men. Well, apparently they're striving to be godly men. I mean, I just had to tune in to see what was going on, and, I started listening, and the next thing I know, I got sucked in, and I couldn't quit. Somebody help me, please.
Welcome to the MessyMen Podcast, a podcast where two men, John and Kevin, talk about and share their stories about being men, husbands, fathers, and friends, while striving, and I emphasize striving, to be the men God has called them to be. A show where John and Kevin have real, transparent conversations about the importance of being men in community. When burdens are shared, iron sharpens iron, and one man sharpens the other, all while encouraging and building up one another. Wait, this sounds heavy. Not like the kind of real man talk I'm used to, like sports, grilling meat, and sports. Will they talk about sports in the show? Can't they sharpen knives or swords? Maybe an axe instead of, one another? No? Well, okay, what do I know? They promised to pay me well for this. Very manly announcement. I wouldn't say so myself. So, here to share their burdens unashamedly, and sometimes awkwardly, are the MessyMen themselves, John and Kevin.
So it's taken care of? Alright. And they went quietly? I just want to make sure that those two aren't going to be a problem anymore. Alright, you sure? And no one's going to find out about this? This can't be traced back to us? Alright, good. Alright. Money? What? You're breaking up. I'm sorry. I can't. Oh, I'm sorry I lost you.
I probably don't want to know what that was about.
Oh, no, it's fine. Okay. I just, those two witnesses were just, the guys that came forward.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure that they were properly rewarded.
Yes,
yes. And,
because they are,
you know what?
amongst our tens of listeners.
And we we receive honest feedback.
We do. We take it well.
We want everyone to be transparent.
Yeah.
So anyway, but yeah, we won't.
We're transparent.
We are. Okay, so are we going to record this show or what?
Yeah, probably should.
Oh, wait, we're already recording?
Oh.
All
okay.
Right. Chip, come on, man. Hi. Oh, hey. Welcome to the MessyMen Podcast episode.
So why is Chip in the room now?
So Chip is our producer.
Yeah, no, I'm aware of that,
he's
but I
on
like
payroll.
him behind the scenes.
Well, you know, it's
I
just
gotta
it's good.
stare at him. I
It's
feel weird.
well,
So, I mean, Chip, no offense. Just
Chip.
eyes up here, man.
Chip,
Eyes up here.
come on. He's just teasing you. He's just teasing you.
Oh, Chip, I love you. No, don't cry. No, you.
Well, everyone say hello to Chip. You can't see him, you can't hear him. We can hear him. He's a great producer. He takes care of all our sound, and
He does.
He's phenomenal. And anyway, so how you doing, man?
Good.
You doing all right?
My voice a little off because in the time of COVID and lockdowns and wearing masks everywhere I go, I got a stinking cold. So I'm at day 2 or day 3 past that where you feel good, but you sound like poop, which is how I get colds.
Yeah.
Like when I'm in the midst of it, I sound great. Now, 3 days past it, I sound like death warmed over, but I feel great.
You don't have the Rona, do you?
Nope. My wife made me go take a test.
All right.
So I made it
smart.
a year and a half without getting one of those Q-tips jabbed into my
Ooh, those
brain.
are fun. Those are fun.
And I had to go get one.
It's always nice because I always I've had that done before, and sometimes I just need a little scratch up there. So could you just scratch that part of my brain up there?
Oh, what
it's
you
really
had done was a frontal lobotomy.
Yes.
Different.
Oh, there was a drill involved.
Yeah, right.
There was a drill involved.
But hey, I'd rather what is it? Oh, I'd rather have a bottle in front of me than a frontal lobotomy.
Ladies and gentlemen, there's nothing but 4-star entertainment here. And you know what? The MessyMen Podcast has 4-star reviews from our moms. And so
Thanks, Mom.
Thanks, moms.
Love you.
So hey, Kev, you're not going to believe I didn't tell you about this.
Okay.
Big news.
Surprise.
For our
I like surprises.
second episode.
Yeah.
I said, you know what, we got to take
Second
we
episode
need to take it up a notch.
Of the second season.
We need to have guests on the program.
All right.
Because, people don't want to hear us talking the whole time. So,
who's our guest?
Have a guest.
Really?
It's a world exclusive.
Really?
He has given us the opportunity to unveil something to the world.
What?
Ladies and gentlemen, our guest today is going to be Bill Ford of the Ford Motor Company. He's going to be unveiling the all-electric Ford F-150 Lightning right here. World exclusive. No, could you not?
Man.
Exclusive right here on the MessyMen Podcast.
That's so cool.
What? What are you talking about, Chip? What do you mean we don't have Bill Ford?
I thought... What?
Chip, what do you mean they already unveiled the F-150 Lightning?
Well, didn't you call him?
Why didn't anybody tell me about this?
I was so excited for a minute.
I'm sorry. I let you down. Well, that's okay. That's awkward.
What are we paying Chip? We should cut it in half.
Shouldn't bring up pay.
We should cut it in half.
Just for not remind Chip about pay. Well, folks, wow, we got a lot of time to kill.
All right, so
what should we do? Hey, you know what? I got an idea. I'd like to introduce a new segment to the MessyMen Podcast.
Okay.
We're making this up as we go along.
Yep. No Bill Ford.
We're going to call this segment MessyMen Confessionals.
Ooh.
MessyMen Confessionals.
We're gonna do a little confession. I thought maybe we could talk about things. We could be serious too if we want.
Yeah.
We can talk about things, confess things we like or things we don't like. And what do you think about that? Things you like or don't like.
Well, guilty pleasures. So I'm thinking about guilty pleasures.
Guilty pleasures.
You know, those movies that you watch.
Do you have to repent of these things?
No. These are like those movies that you watch that maybe aren't of a genre that you'd normally watch. Like teenage chick flicks.
Yeah.
Like
Porky's?
No, later.
Sorry. We'll bleep that out.
No, like a guilty pleasures. You ever seen that movie 10 Things I Hate About You?
No, I have not seen it.
I can't remember any of the actors' names because I'm drawing a blank. One of the actors is, actually, Heath Ledger was in it.
Okay.
One of his early movies, and the actress is been in a whole bunch of stuff. She was in like the Bourne series.
Okay.
But I'm blanking on her name. But it was like a very high schooly kind of not chick flick, but romantic comedy.
Yeah.
That I every time it's on, I watch it. So it's like a guilty pleasure.
So is this, you're confessing this?
Well, yeah.
You're bringing this to the church, and you're getting down on your knees and confessing this guilty pleasure. This is it.
Well,
not to put any pressure on you. That's great. Yeah. That's a great one, Kevin.
Okay. Well, then why don't you go first? You set the bar.
This segment is going terribly.
And then I'll come back.
I'll set the bar. All right. I've been needing to get this off my chest for a long time, and I tell my wife about this, and she rolls her eyes and says, not all, but a lot of Christian contemporary music. You remember those Time Life commercials for those love song albums with the two people walking down the beach and all that?
Yeah.
I feel like some of these
Life.
I feel like some of these more recent Christian contemporary songs, you could take Jesus out of the name out of the song, and just add any girl's name or boy's name, okay. and it's like a dating song. Some of these songs I feel like they're dating Jesus.
That doesn't feel that much deeper than mine.
Oh, it's very deep.
Oh,
this is the best part of the show.
I would say that. I would say that you shouldn't be that shocked because you're talking about Christian contemporary music that's played on the radio.
Right.
To me, that's like being disappointed that top 40 pop stations suck.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all drivel at that level, right?
Are you knocking my confessional?
No,
I was knocking yours.
Man, so, you were.
I know.
But I'm saying like top. I mean, there's good Christian music out there.
Yeah.
It's just not going to get radio play. Just like
there's
good music out there that doesn't get radio play.
And I'd like to name drop some of the bands that I like.
All right, hit me.
Like there's bands like, have you ever heard of Ghost Ship?
Nope.
There's a band called Citizens. There's some good deep biblical lyrical bands out there that are rockin' bands. Big fan of John Cooper, Skillet, heavy metal, Christian.
Nice.
Good stuff. I'm warming up to the heavy metal stuff that he does, but I like his podcast. Shout out to you. If you ever want to be on the MessyMen Podcast or have us on your show, we'd love that.
Call Chip.
No, don't call Chip. Call us because Chip won't respond.
Yeah, right. Did such a great job of booking Bill Ford.
Thanks a lot, man. Anyway, but yeah, there's I always get a kick out of there's this one pastor that I listened to who was talking about with some of this music when they play it in churches as worship music. Yeah. So if you walk into a church and it looks like a Coldplay concert, step out. It's best to leave.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that. There's a lot of that today.
And yeah, I mean, if you look at what's out there for Christian radio, I mean, there's 1 or 2 stations in a market, even a big market like Detroit.
It's like 3 or 4 now. They've expanded.
Seriously?
Yeah. K-Love has 2 channels. They have their just regular channel. They've got another channel that's K-Love 2000s, and they only play Christian contemporary music from the early 2000s, which actually some of that stuff is better, like Third Day and some Matthew West stuff. And then they've got Smile, which is signal's kind of weak, and then you got WMUZ.
Still,
they play music in the morning. It's mostly talk.
They're all going to play overlapping stuff and not get to any deep tracks and not get to any
Deep tracks.
Not get to
Christian deep tracks.
Well, and that's what you want. You want the alternative bands with the Christian.
I want the
music
B-sides,
world, right?
Christian B-sides.
There is a
Christian contemporary music B-sides.
Not to go off
Rare
on a tangent.
The box set. I want the box set of somebody.
Well, you just
as long as the songs aren't.
You want the college radio version of Christian music.
I also want Christian music that's more about God-centric than man-centric. I hear a lot of that stuff. I feel a lot of it is like more focused on.
You want the college radio version of Christian music because
Yes.
they were. I mean, that's where you think about the bands of our era, like the REMs, the U2s. That's when they forgot their first play, right?
Yes.
College radio. There's a radio station that's nationwide that isn't in the Detroit area. I ran into it down in Columbus.
Yeah.
It's called Radio U.
Okay.
It's similar to like the K-Loves of the world, where they don't run ads. They're listener supported.
Okay.
And they don't really play straight up Christian music, but what they do is they focus on bands that are Christian. Like we've had this discussion before, like 21 Pilots.
Right.
21 Pilots, two brothers created a band, amazing band by the way. They don't make Christian music, they're Christians who make music. So it's a different, you're putting your comma in a different spot. Well, this Radio U focuses on bands like that.
All right.
So it's an interesting concept, and you'll get a lot of. You'll hear some stuff in there like, wow, I didn't realize they were even Christian, but that's really cool. And you start to listen to the music.
Yeah.
And you can listen to that theme running through.
Right.
It's not hammering you in the head.
Right.
It's not, hymns and psalms and shout outs to Jesus, but it's definitely got that theme. It's really cool.
I love a good hymn. Come thou art.
I love a good her, too. Ha! I'm full of them.
Folks, it's
the
nothing but quality entertainment here at the MessyMen Podcast. For those of you who are still sticking around.
I amuse me, that's all.
We interrupt this previously scheduled program for A Moment with Spurgeon.
Don't go where it is all fine music and grand talk and beautiful architecture. Those things will neither fill anybody's stomach nor feed his soul. Go where the gospel is preached, the gospel that really feeds your soul, and go often.
This has been A Moment with Spurgeon.
We do have a serious topic we wanted to talk about. Wanted to talk to you about, and we talked about this in our first season, career transitions, but we're not going to make it so much about that. But you left corporate America.
Yep.
You had a high-paying executive corporate job.
Yeah.
You had all the fame, the wealth. You had a jet, your own car, like Ferrari.
Yep.
You threw all that away.
Threw it all away.
And you went back to school to follow what you thought you were really called for. Was that to go into counseling?
Yep. So I'm a mental health counselor.
Yeah. What type of people are you counseling?
Just all kinds of people. Just helping them deal with anxiety, depression, things that are tough right now. Loss.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of loss.
Like loss because of COVID, death, that kind of thing?
Yeah,
or,
loss because of COVID,
jobs.
death, loss because of jobs because of COVID, loss because of the lockdown, and loss of social connection. I mean, I don't know, I'm sure we've talked about it here, but, we are not designed to be alone, solitary creatures, so this lockdown quarantine it's bad juju for people's heads.
The word social distancing even work. Those two words don't go together
seem like
very
it
well.
does, right? No. Antisocial distance.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like.
So what in this last year, in this pandemic, what do people need to know? What are some of the trends that you're aware of, and what do people need to know about mental health? And
well, I think part of it is, everyone feels like, well, we're all going through this and we all know it sucks, and part of it is just, well, it sucks for everyone, so I should just suck it up and deal with it, right? Because everybody's in the same boat.
Right.
But we all deal with things differently.
Yeah.
Depending on the time of day or just the mood or how much you slept or didn't sleep the night before. You could have, things that happen around you will have a different effect on you. I mean, one of the examples they always give is for PTSD for someone coming back out of a war. You could have two guys together in the same foxhole experience the same thing. One comes home with PTSD and one doesn't.
Yeah.
It's just people deal with things differently. So I think one thing I would say is that, don't just blow it off like, well, everyone's dealing with it, I should suck it up.
Yeah.
Pay attention to what's going on. Pay attention to the feelings you got. Pay attention to, smaller signs like, even things like upset stomach constantly. Digestive issues can be an issue.
Yep.
That comes from anxiety. For guys like depression tends to come out as anger or irritability. So if you've been more angry and irritable lately,
yeah,
and then take a real look at maybe why that is. So there's lots of different things we need to look at, internally, but it's just we need to pay attention to it and not just say, oh well, everybody's doing it, sucks for everybody.
Yeah.
So it's something to be cognizant of. I mean, this is doing some damage to some people out there, and not long-term damage, but it's something people should deal with, something people should address.
Yeah. It's hard to address though when if you're isolated and it's just you and you're alone. I mean, even if you have family, I think some people, can still feel alone in their home and not being out. I mean, sure. I'm an extrovert, so this pandemic was the extrovert's worst nightmare.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, but it's not good for introverts either, because
no.
They still need to be around people. They're just extroverts and introverts are around people in a different way.
Yeah.
And it still affects them, and they still need community around them. And when that's been taken away, like it has for so many of us, on so many levels, you just don't get that. And it has its effect. Everyone's feeling the effect.
Sure. I mean, is there something specific like within the church? If we got, because I think you said are you doing some ministry at your church? With respect to this?
Yeah, last week we wrapped up a 6-week series on mental health. It was like on a Tuesday night.
Okay.
Just talking through, the importance of mental health, what to look for, ways to, things to do to get help or to even, guard yourself against, things to do to stay healthy.
Yeah.
There was things like community. It was things like making sure that you have people in your life that you can talk to. Making sure that you have close people to talk to. It's not just...
What about also, outside of the person who is feeling depressed or lonely or whatever, are being aware and looking for signs of friends and or family or even our children? Was there any discussion about that and how to maybe identify our kids who may be coming home and not wanting to talk, or like maybe if they're not, I'm sorry, they're coming home, but if they're back at school now, so for the most part. But any signs we should be looking at for our kids?
Yeah, and really you're just watching for changes. I mean, our kids, especially, like our kids, our older kids are teenagers, and usually they don't want to talk to us anyways.
Right. I've noticed that.
Are teenagers, right?
Yeah.
I hear that once they hit like 27, 28, then they actually think we're smart again, but until that, we're just idiots. By the way. It's a thing. I don't know why. Yeah. But you just watch for changes, right? Like, we know our kids. We know how, sometimes they don't want to talk to us, and sometimes they just want to hang on in their rooms, and but you should be able to see changes, something that are patterns that are different, maybe people they're talking to or talking about are different, and you just watch for those changes. You watch for them, maybe turning in more, and they're not talking to you, but they're not talking to anybody.
Right.
You watch for drama, teenage drama. What's happening? Who's Are there fights going on? Are there disagreements? That's the kind of stuff you got to watch for.
Yeah. And, we try to do a job of, policing their texts and just making sure, as long as they're under our roof, And
we absolutely should as parents. That's our job, right? At the same time, we got to know we can't catch everything.
Right.
So you try to zoom in as much as possible, but then you also try to be watching from like the 5,000-foot view and just watch for those patterns and watch for changes and big changes in their social groups, big changes in the people they're talking to.
Right.
All of a sudden they're hanging out with a whole new group of people.
Sure.
All right, so why?
Yeah.
You gotta be curious and ask them.
Yeah. So what can people, outside of, just looking for the signs, if someone's feeling they need to speak to somebody, where are some good resources? Any suggestions on that? Outside of call you?
Yeah.
We can flash your number up here and, call Kevin.
So
24/7.
The most important thing is to talk to someone.
Yeah.
And second to that, I think it's important to stress that if you go to a counselor, which most people should, go into it knowing that you got to make that connection with that counselor.
Mm-hmm.
Within the first 2-3 weeks, you should know.
Yeah.
And if you don't make that connection, that's totally okay. No counselor worth their salt. If I don't make a connection with someone and I don't feel it, I'll bring it up.
Yeah.
But if they bring it up to me before I bring it up to them, absolutely.
Yeah.
My ego isn't in this, because counselors, we just want you to get better. And if there's no connection, it's not going to help. And you bring it up as soon as possible. And we've got referral networks of dozens of counselors that we know through networking, that we've worked with, that we like and we trust. We'll happily give you referrals and help you find someone new.
Okay.
That's really important. It's really important to connect with your counselor. So I say that because I think people sometimes get in it and, don't feel that connection and struggle through 6-8 weeks and this isn't getting any better. This sucks.
Right.
So I'm telling you right now, I'm giving you permission to cut it after a couple weeks. If you're not connecting, and I promise you that you're not going to hurt their feelings.
Yeah.
At least not a counselor that's worth anything.
So I'll share twice in my life. My wife and I, our second year of marriage, we were having some difficulties, and we sought out a counselor, and it was the best thing we had ever done.
Yeah.
And the biggest challenge, in the second year of marriage, is we just didn't know how to communicate to each other.
Mm-hmm.
And it was an incredible amount of help. And then fast forward, you were talking about stress and anxiety, what it can do to you. Before we moved back here to Michigan from Chicago, we lived in Chicago for about 6 years. I was struggling with a lot of anxiety and stress, which I really didn't understand at the time. Mm-hmm. But I was having a lot of intestinal issues, and had every test under the sun done, trying to weed out any other potential issues, whether it was my liver, my colon cancer, all kinds of things. It was crazy. There was all kinds of crazy stuff going on. And then we moved back here, and I will say this: my doctor basically just chalked it up to stress and anxiety. I will say that his response to that, and I'm not necessarily blaming him for this. Be an advocate for yourself. Ask questions when a doctor prescribes you a drug. I was prescribed a depression medication for my stress. I didn't ask any questions what it was for or what it would do. I do know that when I started taking this, I didn't have a care in the world after taking it, and I knew that feeling was a little odd.
Bad way?
No, in a good. I didn't care about anything. I was on cloud 9.
Yeah.
But my prescription ran out, and I forgot to refill it, and I was getting the side effects of like these like brain zaps, these electrical zaps in my head. And I was
that's
getting
fun.
yeah. So it made me question what this was all about, and I did some research on it, and I found all kinds of scary stuff about this particular pharmaceutical. And I went, I got my prescription back, and I weeded myself off, and I got off of it. But I will say this, that
Just to be clear to everyone out there, don't wean yourself off any psychiatric medicine without talking to your doctor. I'm serious. Don't do it yourself. See your doctor about it. Please, Sean, go on with your story.
he's probably right. He's right. But I did. And anyway, long story short, I learned that at that time I was just going through a lot of stress and anxiety, and I've learned other ways, more natural ways to kind of get a hold of that, and when it starts to happen. But recognizing it for what it is a big part of. Go ahead.
No, I'm just.
Yeah, no.
I've got a fun little tidbit, trivia thrown here. So, we all know what we have neurons in our brain, right? Neurons are what make the talk to each other and make the connections in our brain, right? That's how they send signals. In your digestive tract, so from here to here, you've got another 75% of the neurons that you have up here. Yeah. So you've almost got another 3/4 of a brain in your digestive tract. Now, the neurons, when we study them, when we look at them, they're identical. Obviously, we don't hold memories down here.
Is it when people say, look at the big brain on John, they're talking about?
Yeah, this is our big brain.
Oh, yeah.
No, but it is funny that you say when you have a gut feeling about something,
yeah,
or when you're stressed or you're anxious, you
get
feel it in your gut.
Yeah.
It makes sense. I mean, we're all one unit, and we tend to, I think, to our detriment, we tend to look at mental health as, those are just thoughts. Those aren't real things, so it's not real.
Yeah.
So we look with that tends to transfer into mental disease. Mental issues aren't real. They're because they're in your head. They're just made up, right?
Right.
But there's so many physiological effects that go both ways. So, I mean, we all know, we've all experienced, at least us up here in the north. I don't want to exclude our southern listeners.
No.
But the lack of sun in the wintertime.
Right. Right.
They call it SAD, seasonal affective disorder.
Yeah.
But that's a real thing. It's not getting enough sunlight. So it's something that happens to our body physically that affects our mental state.
Right.
But there's so many things like that. I mean, and like, for example, like with depression, one of the catch-22 things about it is that sometimes when you're experiencing real severe depression, you've got no strength, you've got no energy. To get out of bed and brush your teeth is a win. Like, that could be your only win you have all week.
Yeah.
To counterbalance that, things that are really, really good for that is to go outside and go for a walk.
Yeah.
Going outside, getting sun, getting fresh air, physical activity actually helps to reverse depression.
Okay.
But when you're depressed, you can't even get up and brush teeth.
Yeah.
How the hell are you going to go for a walk?
Yeah.
So it kind of one of the things that's really is so difficult with that is that, again, being around people helps. Being around people is good for us mentally. When you're depressed or you're struggling with anxiety, that the idea of being around anyone freaks you out.
Yeah.
It helps, but you can't make yourself do it. Right. So, those are the kinds of things that, you can talk to someone and work through those things.
Yeah.
But the things to pay attention to, like I said, and to think that it's just all in your head, so it's not real. I don't think that's old thinking. That's not what we know now.
Yeah. Well, we're out of time
already.
We are.
Wow.
Out of time when we're having fun. So, is there any specific website you would point people to, or maybe you don't have that? I don't know. I don't want to put you on the spot with that. Like if we wanted to share a couple of resources, links or whatever, is there anything we can?
We'll put links up. But National Association for Mental Health, it's NAMI, NAMI.
Okay.
has all kinds of information on mental health. As far as like getting a counselor, in the age of pandemics and lockdowns, I mean, I still see people because I don't have an office, so I can meet people out in public when we go to parks. If you're not comfortable going out, there's online services that will offer. The one that pops in my head is betterhealth.com, and you can log in and find a counselor that will do sessions virtually, over the screen or even by phone.
Yeah.
But there's lots and lots and lots of mental health services out there.
Yeah.
And sometimes the hardest thing is making that first step.
Yeah.
I tell people first time I talk to them that I'm thankful that they were brave enough to call me, because a lot of times that's the hardest thing.
Yeah.
Is to make that call.
Yeah. So that's the main thing, folks, is if you're struggling with any depression, anxiety, stress, whatever that is, and you just don't be ashamed. Make the call. There are resources out there for you, and you're not alone. I've been through it, and a lot of people have been through it. I imagine you have too.
And we are still in the month of May, so it's actually Mental Health Awareness Month.
Yes. So what a time to be doing this. It was a coincidence.
Yeah, it was a coincidence.
Kind of was. Yes, it was. Well, hey, thank you for tuning in to our second episode. This was really a messy episode at the beginning. We're hoping to get Bill Ford on the next episode, or someone else, or just be Kevin and I. Who knows? Tune in next time, and thanks for tuning in.
Deuces, y'all.
Deuces.